Welcome back to the Pain Game. Today we got a few different topics to cover. Anthony Joshua, we got Moses Itauma versus Dillian Whyte signed for Saudi. What a fight that is going to be. Turki Al-Sheikh coming out saying what he doesn't want to see in future boxing events and more. But we'll start with Anthony Joshua because his coach Ben Davison has just done an interview and he spoke a lot about the future of Anthony Joshua, but also what went wrong in the Daniel Dubois fight.
No training with him at this moment?
Not at the minute. He's had that elbow operation that you mentioned there, so still doing the recovery of that, which isn't something that I take control of.
The fact that he's not training now tells us that, you know, he's not going to fight really in the very near future. It's going to be a while. The worry is the older you get as an athlete, and AJ's on the older side now for an athlete, the worse inactivity will fuck you. It gets harder to do what you used to be able to do. That's why you have to keep doing it every fucking day. And no one is a better example of that than Alexander Usyk. There's a reason at his age of 38, I think he is, can still compete with younger guys. It's because he never takes a day off. There's always a fight on the way.
And I want you to listen to some VT of your observations in the corner, and then we'll come back to it after you've listened to it.
If there's a bit of a lull, in behind that double jump, bring it up, roll the dice, he'll double now the right time, lift it, yeah? Roll that dice, innit? Double in his eyes, bring it up.
We all remember the roll the dice comment. It went so viral that and basically everyone in boxing unanimously was like, that wasn't the right idea. And we can all say that after it doesn't work. It nearly did work, to be fair. Not necessarily the actual uppercut, but AJ going after him, he did hurt Dubois in that round. It's just, what if he'd waited another round and then went after him and composed himself, because he was starting to get his legs back. That was the main argument.
We've asked AJ to throw a double jab and bring it up the middle. Daniel was defending AJ's right hand by ducking underneath it. Therefore, if he's ducking underneath your right hand, the correct adjustment is to let him dip onto the right uppercut.
But what's the roll the dice bit?
Roll the dice is like, that was something that he'd worked on throughout camp. Double jab, bring it out the middle.
Right.
From memory though, I don't think AJ actually did double jab. I think he just led with the uppercut. Goes straight for the uppercut from memory. Yeah. So to be fair to Ben, AJ kind of abandoned the double jab before the uppercut and just went straight for it, which is why he got caught so cleanly.
Yeah, roll the dice didn't actually mean go out there and take...
That's what everyone picks up on.
Of course, and I get that. What we meant was that's something you've worked on, you haven't thrown it once in the fight. You know, commit to it.
Yeah.
Roll the dice in the sense that he's going to duck underneath it. That's what I meant. However, I totally respect... You're entitled to your opinion, you're entitled to your opinion. Maybe I was wrong.
Yeah.
I feel like...
But I'm asking you because it's clarity.
Mate, why are you interrupting him? He's going... That was quite admirable from Ben. You know, he said, maybe I was wrong. And when you do fuck up, and if he has fucked up, and that's debatable because he actually gave AJ slightly different instructions to what AJ actually went with there. I do think that the roll the dice thing, it just sounds bad, but in the way he's explained it, I think it provides more context and makes us understand a bit better.
Whether I should say it or not, he was, and it's not an excuse at all. He's never mentioned it. We don't mention it. Even though I'm mentioning it now, it's not the reason that we lost that fight. But he was very, very late arriving to the changing room for unforeseen circumstances, and it was a major rush,
Right.
which wasn't ideal.
I agree that would have had a slight impact on AJ walking to the ring and looking like he looked like a deer in the headlights. That's because he wasn't fully warmed up. He wasn't mentally switched on the way he needed to be. We've seen him, you know, look a bit iffy before in ring walks, but that was a whole nother level of... He looked like he'd seen a ghost. And that's probably because he's like, fuck me, I'm already on the way to the ring. I've only just got here. Some might say it's because he was afraid of Daniel Dubois, but like on the way to the fight, before in the press conferences, the only thing I noticed that he said, which was weird, is at the weigh-in, he said, pray for me to get the win. But he didn't look intimidated by Dubois when they were doing the face-offs. He didn't look in the least bit worried.
Any conflict in your emotions if you were to see Anthony Joshua going against Tyson Fury?
Would I, you know, I totally understand it's not ideal, do you know what I mean? I've never had a falling out with any boxer that I've finished working with, and that's something I pride myself on. Nobody, hopefully anyway, has gone out and had bad things to say about me, and vice versa. But I think the relationship is mature enough, and we both, like myself and Tyson, both know what type of characters we are. There's no, you know, it's not malicious, it's not...
Yeah.
you know, it's business, and I think we'd both understand that.
Yeah, Tyson Fury is a famously understanding man. That would really put him in a fucking weird position, because remember, Tyson Fury was a very much a mentally broken version of himself when Ben started working with him, and Ben was literally living with him day in, day out, making sure he stayed on the straight and narrow, did his runs, and rebuilt him back. And every bit of success Tyson Fury has even without Ben deserves a little bit of credit every single time Tyson does anything good in the ring, because if Ben didn't do all of that, who knows if Tyson would have come back the way he did. And maybe he would have done. You know, for all I give him criticism, I respect, he is a fucking hell of a fighter, but we can't take away from what must have, you know, that must have been like for Ben and him, and Ben talking to him every day and trying to get his mind right and putting so much into him, which kind of was all the more shocking when he actually left Ben at that point. And it's funny because a lot of that was engineered by Big John Fury, who's now slagging off Tyson's current coaches. It's as though no one's good enough. But the reason that there is a little bit of conflict there, you know, for Ben is he knows Tyson inside out. He knows what he likes, what he doesn't like, his best habits, his worst habits. No one would be in a better position to help Anthony Joshua ruin Tyson Fury than him. And to say that wouldn't bother Tyson Fury, I think is wishful thinking. I think maybe, you know, outwardly, Fury may be, you know, okay about it, but I think mentally it would be a lot for him to have going on in the back of his head, knowing all the memories they've got together now.
You know, at the minute he's in a stage of recovery, see how he feels. He's had a long time out of training, long time out of the ring. Maybe he wants a fight, 2 fights, see how the land lies. And with the heavyweight division, things can change very, very quickly. Somebody takes a bad loss that all of a sudden everybody was high on, all of a sudden an opportunity pops up. You never know how the land can lie and the land can change.
I agree with Ben on that. I think AJ isn't a lost cause the way some people are saying he is. Yeah, he didn't look good in the Dubois fight. I think defensively it was his worst performance ever. But actually, to put that right, I don't think is as hard as what people have made it out to be. Like, I wouldn't say AJ is shot. I think AJ had a terrible performance where his mind was completely not there. And I think if AJ rights those wrongs, he can perform a lot better. Is that good enough to beat Daniel Dubois? Who knows? But I hope we'll find out. If Dubois loses to Usyk, make the Dubois-AJ fight, especially if Fury's still pussyfooting around, basically avoiding AJ. And now, a word from our sponsors. A lot of you are going away this summer, and the thing you've forgotten about is what do we watch when we get there? And if you want to keep up to date with your favourite binge-worthy TV show, or the latest documentary on Netflix, or even the Club World Cup, you're gonna need a VPN. And that is why you need Surfshark, the best VPN in the business. You can watch whatever you want, wherever you are in the world. And that's not all you get with Surfshark, they also take care of your privacy. Your whole online activity stays encrypted, so you can browse privately, you can block ads, and virtually travel the world in one click. It's super easy to use. If you're on your laptop, you can use the Chrome extension, and with one click of a button, you're back in the UK virtually, and you're watching your favorite TV shows. You can also use it on your phone, and the great thing about it is, with one subscription, you can cover all of your devices. And Surfshark also give you great security. If you're on a public network and you want to log in to see your bank, for example, Surfshark will mask your IP and make sure all your traffic is encrypted, so your personal info stays just that, personal to you. I use Surfshark every single day, and I cannot recommend them highly enough. And right now is the time to sign up, because they have a mega deal on, which includes 4 extra months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price, plus a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there is no risk in trying it out. All you got to do is scan the QR code on your screen now, or click the link in the description below, go to surfshark.com/paingame, and you can get 4 extra months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. Big love to Surfshark for looking after us, but for now, enjoy the video. Now on to Moses Itauma versus Dillian Whyte. Obviously, I did that video on Moses recently, showed how amazing he's looked in his rise as a 20-year-old heavyweight pro boxer. And the fight I said I would make next was Dillian Whyte. And the fight they've made next is Dillian Whyte. So whoever's watching, you're welcome. I'm a matchmaker, unpaid. And to be fair, I was one of the few saying that. I don't think anyone else was. A lot of other people were saying he should work his way through these, you know, more technical boxers and, you know, get minutes. But I don't think he actually really needs that as much as what people were saying. He needs name value. If we're going to get him in a heavyweight world title fight, you want to do that with as much attention on him as possible. And the easiest way to do that is to put him in with well-known heavyweights. All right, Dillian Whyte is not Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, but for a long time, he was high in the rankings. He was very well known. He's fought AJ and Fury. He's only lost to world champions. This makes a lot of sense for me, because if Moses Itauma goes in there as a 20-year-old 20-year-old and flattens Dillian Whyte, that will go viral. And the casual boxing fans will come and go, who the hell is this kid? How did he do that to Dillian Whyte? We've only seen world champions do that to him, especially if he makes it look as easy as he has lately, which is even with Dillian Whyte getting older, I don't think they should put that pressure on him, right? He just needs to win and look good. We all remember this is the fight that made Dillian Whyte's name, and also Anthony Joshua's, really. It was the launch pad for his career, because Dillian Whyte unexpectedly put up a much harder fight than what people were thinking, and it was that left hook there that rocked Anthony Joshua that made everyone take notice of Dillian Whyte and realize this guy is a scrapper. Unfortunately for Dillian Whyte, that uppercut ended the fight, but he gained a lot in the process, right? He really put up a good fight against someone who AJ was running through people at that point. He then knocked out Derek Chisora with this left hook. People don't flatten Chisora like that. Like, Chisora's as hard as nails. And what a left hook that was. I mean, he just rendered him unconscious in a split second. Power's the last thing to go. And if you get hit flush with a Dillian Whyte left hook, you're in trouble. This was the rematch he had with Alexander Povetkin, who'd actually knocked him out in the fight before this. So you'd think that Dillian would have been hesitant. He would have been, reluctant to exchange. And I mean, he was anything but. I was very impressed with the way Dillian came out swinging in this fight and showed not just physical resilience, but mental strength. The point being is, when you should be scared, like a lot of people are right now, of Moses Itauma, when you look at the performances, Dillian Whyte wouldn't be. He's as hard as nails. Yes, he's not a beautiful boxer, right? He's a slugger. But that mentality just makes him a threat to anyone he gets in the ring with. Now, the thing that would worry me was his performance against Tyson Fury, because despite what I've said about him being game and a tough guy, something just wasn't right that night against Fury. And I think the technicality disparity between him and Fury was massive. Dillian was just really struggling to get in close against Fury, and Fury just did such a good job of keeping it long and just controlling Dillian Whyte. And if Dillian Whyte has a chance of winning this fight, he has to be uncontrollable. He has to just go for broke, really. And it's things like that where he swings so wildly and misses, where it demoralizes you. And Fury, for a big guy, is light on his feet, but Moses Itauma is severely quicker. And I think that's going to cause him problems for sure. This is round 5 here, and Dillian Whyte is swinging from a mile away, and his feet are just not quick enough to close that distance fast enough for Tyson Fury to still be there when you get inside. For Fury, it's too easy to just stay on the edge of range and pick him apart, as he was doing nicely there. I think Moses Itauma probably hits harder than Tyson Fury. If not harder, it's just more quick and accurate and devastating because of that. And that was the uppercut that ended Dillian Whyte's night, and it usually is an uppercut. I don't know what it is. It's just must be the way it connects with him, but that's the off switch. Because a lot of other shots, I mean, he hasn't got a bad chin. It's not like I think he gets hurt easy, but they do seem to bounce off him. But that uppercut, when that lands on the chin, it's good night. And you've got to think, with a coach like Ben Davison, Moses Itauma will be drilling uppercuts till he's doing them in his sleep. So this was the last fight that Dillian Whyte had. 260 pounds he weighed in at, which is on the heavy side for him. It wasn't the best boxing you've ever seen in your life. It was mental, to be honest. But I mean, Dillian just claps him right back, and they're just absolute brawlers, these two. This is the thing is I guess Dillian's going to have to do that a little bit and just go straight in there and try and put a dent in Moses. Because if you let Moses get any confidence, start picking you apart, it could be a really short night. And that's one thing that I would take from this is, he's on the older side of his career, but he's not showing like the signs of he doesn't want to throw punches anymore because he's been knocked out once or twice. He's still game as fuck. I just worry about the speed and the technical ability of Moses Itauma for him. I think that's going to be a massive challenge for Dillian. And what I hope is, if Moses goes in there and flattens Dillian Whyte, people don't just go, oh, well, Dillian was washed anyway. Like, how many 20-year-olds do we know who are willing to step in a ring with Dillian fucking Whyte? With the experience he has, with the power he has? Not many. We have to remember, he's 20 years old. This is absurd to even be thinking about this, let alone the fact that we're making Moses Itauma a heavy favourite, which he should be. I'm just saying, like, let's not forget context. And look, some people are saying, like, they're worried about Moses Itauma defensively because we've seen offensively especially with a coach like Ben Davison. He's great. And I don't think he gets hit that much. So I'm not necessarily worried myself, but I've seen some people say, look, we look at what's happened with AJ defensively under Ben. Fabio Wardley's not exactly showing he's the best defensive fighter. And a lot of his fighters do seem to get into wars. You can't get into a war with Dillian Whyte, because that's his game. Although Moses might still beat him in a war, you don't have to do that. Don't go headhunting, in my opinion. Don't be trying to force a knockout, because that's when you could give him something. Just box him, and the knockout should come if you carry on fighting the way you have been. Now let's talk about Turki Al Sheikh's comments about the future of boxing, because obviously lately we've had some poor performances from fighters like Devin Haney, like William Skull, who did virtually no punching in their fight. They set new records. He put out a tweet saying, from this point on, I don't want to see any Tom and Jerry type boxing matches. I love that phrase, by the way, where one fighter is running around the ring and the other is having to chase him. We can no longer support these kind of fights with Riyadh Season and the ring. We want to support fighters who leave it all in the ring and fight with heart and pride. Now, I think we all understand exactly what Turki was getting at there, right? We don't want to see fighters turning up, running for their lives, like William Skull did, like Devin Haney did. In the same weekend, they broke records for the least amount of punches thrown in a fight. Bearing in mind the millions of dollars that these lads are getting paid, and the platform that Turki himself is giving them, for example, in Times Square, New York City, putting them in a place where everyone in America can pay attention to this fight and give you as much star power as humanly possible. And yet you turn up and you basically rob people. When a promoter is paying you that amount of money to fight and you turn up and do that, that's daylight robbery, that. And Turki is well within his rights to say, if that's what you're going to do, I don't want you on my show. And all that'll do is encourage us to watch his shows, because then you're going to know that you're getting proper fights and that he is rewarding the ones who leave it all in there. For example, Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. All right, not every fight is like that, but it was unbelievable. It was an absolute war. And I think some people have taken Turki's comments out of context and try and make it out like he's saying, you can't be defensively responsible and you have to go in there with your hands down and your chin out and just fight like idiots. That's not what he's saying. I've seen many interviews of Turki's. He's a big fan of the sweet science and he appreciates defensively smart boxers. We're not talking about hit and don't get hit here. We're talking about barely punch and run as much as possible. That's what fighters were doing. And he has every right to call that out. And this is the thing, when I see boxing fans complaining about this, I'm like, you do realize he's actually trying to do us a favor, so that when we put $20 down or whatever you pay wherever you are to watch a fight, that you don't get a William Skull situation or a Devin Haney situation where you've spent good money and there's a chicken running around the ring and fucking Rocky trying to catch him. It's ridiculous. He's doing us a favor, and every boxing fan who disagreed with him just because they want to be clever or whatever, you're idiots. Do you understand that? Idiots. If you're a defensive boxer, more power to you, right? Hit and don't get hit. But don't forget the hitting bit. That's all we're saying here. Because I never want to see a performance like what we've seen from William Skull and Devin Haney ever again. Anyway, let me know what you thought of today's video in the comments below and your opinions on everything I've covered. I really appreciate all the support. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe to the Pain Game YouTube channel, and I'll see you on the next one.